Millions of digital horses were clad in armour on April 3, 2006. The survivors of this phenomenon called this downloadable content purchase a microtransaction. They lived only to face new nightmares. Season passes, live service models, always online single-player, loot boxes, pay-to-win, ship-now-fix-later patches, and more. Make no mistake, the team at Terminator 2D No Fate developer Bitmap Bureau has seen this future, and they clearly don't like it. As such, Terminator 2D is an unapologetically nostalgic side-scroller specifically designed to send players directly back to the 16-bit era of the 90s to experience the greatest T2 game we never played. Exceedingly short by modern standards, but brimming with love for James Cameron's indisputable sci-fi classic, Terminator 2D is part time machine, part uncommonly terrific movie tie-in. In an insane world, it's the sanest choice. Terminator 2D's main story mode, which follows the events of T2 with a few expanded diversions, takes roughly an hour to complete successfully. However, it took me a few runs to actually achieve this. Admittedly, this is incredibly short by contemporary standards, but it's nonetheless authentic to an era where a game's perceived girth was significantly inflated by the amount of times you'd need to play through nearly the entire thing in order to reach the end. This philosophy feels pretty heavily baked into Terminator 2D, and even though I no longer have the time, the patience, or the sugar-enhanced reflexes of a 12-year-old with no job, I do respect the format. Sure, burning through my continues on an encounter I didn't quite understand immediately was frustrating, and needing to start all over again is never fun.
Continue.
However, pushing past punishing sections that gave me grief on previous playthroughs is undeniably rewarding. I only wish you weren't limited to accumulating a maximum of just 9 continues. Whenever you have 9 in the bank, any further ones you collect are converted to bonus points instead. Failing on the last level does sting a little harder knowing I could have easily had a few more cracks at it.
Terminated.
On account of Terminator 2D's modest length, I'm hesitant to drill down too specifically on how and when it shifts up its various mechanics, because encountering and learning this stuff for yourself is really all part of the process. What I will say, however, is that Terminator 2D doesn't stagnate as a one-speed side-scroller, and there are tweaks throughout that typically require a slight adjustment to your approach. That is, one moment you might be cutting a plasma-fueled path through a Skynet-ravaged future in an overtly Contra-inspired run-and-gun action section, and the next you're sneaking through the Pescadero State Hospital for the criminally insane, engaging in mild stealth and hiding from the T-1000. This level loses its suspense on subsequent visits thanks to its scripted nature, but the tension the first time around was palpable thanks to the excellent use of T2's original music and the predilection of the deadly T-1000 to pop up out of nowhere.
Terminated.
T2's music is actually used to incredible effect all throughout. It essentially does all the heavy lifting in terms of atmosphere in the absence of voice acting, with the dialogue relayed through on-screen text. The power metal version of T2's main theme is a major highlight, and there's a fabulously engineered bit of licensed music available in the biker bar that had me grinning like a cybernetic organism in a well-stocked weapons bunker. Just be sure to punch that jukebox. If you don't want to hear it yet, hit mute now.
Come on.
Happily, Terminator 2D is as fabulous to look at as it is to listen to. Its pixel art isn't just brilliantly handsome either, it's also silkily animated. It oozes character at every opportunity, from the way the T-800 disdainfully tosses that unlucky biker onto a burning grill, to the desperate backpedaling of Sarah in the shadow of her worst nightmare, to the final flailings of the T-1000 as it cycles through its most recent shapeshifts in the pool of molten metal. My biggest disappointment overall is the surprising lack of T-800 sequences, resulting in a Terminator game where you unfortunately spend limited time as the Terminator itself. When playing the core story thread, that is the one that runs faithfully to the film, you'll only play as the T-800 during the biker bar beatdown and the canal chase. It's true that in the spirit of the film, Bitmap Bureau can't simply turn the T-800 into a mass-murdering WMD. After all, as we all know, it's under strict instructions from John not to kill anyone.
Trust me.
As regularly as 90s movies tie-ins coloured outside the lines, present company included, it would have been quite discordant to have the Terminator arbitrarily massacre his way through a few levels. Nonetheless, it does feel like there are some missed opportunities here. For instance, the biker bar beat-em-up gameplay could have made a very logical reappearance in, say, a mall level where the T-800 was forced to slap down some security on his way to rendezvous with John for the first time. This could have crescendoed with the T-800 blasting at the T-1000 with his shotgun. As it stands, this iconic encounter occurs in a brief still screen before the motorcycle chase, with no associated gameplay. It feels brushed over considering just how mega that moment is in the context of the movie. It's odd too that the T-800 blasting the cop cars assembled outside Cyberdyne Systems is only a playable portion in runs designed for one of Terminator 2D's alternate endings. We actually don't get it in a regular canon run. It's stranger still that the T-800 is a passenger for the entire final showdown at the steel foundry with the T-1000. You get a glimpse of the fight between the two as you hustle through the area as Sarah, and the part of the slugfest you can watch does contain some terrific fan service, but I feel like it would have been nice to be able to participate in that. I'm not sure whether or not the slight sidelining of the T-800 is related to the fact Arnold Schwarzenegger's likeness is not actually featured in Terminator 2D, while Linda Hamilton, Robert Patrick, Edward Furlong, and Michael Edwards are. The T-800 does get some minigun action if you dabble with the decision options that become unlocked after completing the main story for the first time. These decisions send the story on a split path towards new endings that are bespoke to Terminator 2D. They're an interesting novelty, and these paths result in some different riffs on previously completed levels, but I wouldn't say they're a massive boost to proceedings. Completing these other paths is the key to unlocking several bonus modes, like a boss rush and one dubbed Mother of the Future, which focuses exclusively on Sarah. However, they're really just slightly altered ways of playing the same thing over again, which is something I've done a whole bunch already, just pounding through story mode. There's also an arcade mode, which appears to just be story mode without continues. This one doesn't interest me at all, and I'm not sure what it's supposed to emulate. Going to the arcade with a hole in your pocket?
Hey bro, I'm gonna get some quarters. I'll be back, alright? Cool.
At any rate, T2 is already a perfect film with a perfect ending, so any perversion of it is naturally going to be pretty unsatisfying in comparison, which is a lesson I thought we all learnt watching the first 5 minutes of Terminator Dark Fate.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Terminator 2D No Fate is totally committed to being an unflinching homage to the 16-bit era. This brings with it an extremely brief runtime, and I'm unconvinced the supplementary modes developer Bitmap Bureau has injected are gonna be enough to have me guarantee I'll be back. But it can't be understated just how much it succeeds as a wonderfully realised tribute to one of the single greatest movies ever made. It arguably underutilises its supreme asset in the titular Terminator itself, but it's otherwise a consistently entertaining and rewarding time capsule punctuated with pitch-perfect music, exquisite pixel art, and brilliant Easter eggs. Terminator 2D No Fate isn't just the best Terminator 2 game ever, it may just be the best way to revisit the 90s this side of hitching a ride to the past in a ball of electricity with your junk out. Trust me. For more recent reviews, you can check out IGN's verdicts on Destiny 2 Renegades and Skate Story. For everything else, stick with IGN.